So in 2009, the daughter of a friend of mine was abducted from a Charlottesville concert and later found murdered. A few years after it happened, we were talking one day and I asked her, how are you able to navigate through this horrific event with such love and such grace? She told me, and she had been a Unity student for a long period of time, that through her deep connection to God, to Source, that she discovered that love continued to flow into her life, even though this cherished channel had been taken from her. This huge loss of love flows was replaced with new channels that had never been there before, from strangers who would reach out to her, new friends. One that endures today, that is one of her closest friends, was a woman named Jane, who was Morgan, the woman who was abducted. It was her teacher at Virginia Tech. She was just finishing up. She was 21 years old. And she reached out to Jill to let her know that she had an essay that Morgan had just completed for her final exam for that semester, and it was illustrated, and it was really a love note to her parents. And through that, there became a friendship that probably never would have showed up otherwise. She found great channels of love as she started Save the Next Girl in chapters all around college and high school campuses in the country. Even the family of the man who was eventually convicted of her murder became a channel of love. And while there was deep grief, don't misunderstand, because in our human journey there is, of the loss of the physical love that she would not get to experience with her daughter, the flow of love in her life was balanced with the creation of so many new channels. She said it's like a lever, you know, and you're like this and you have all this love, and when that goes away, then the love shows up over here, if she was willing to receive it. Jill knew at her deepest level that there is one source, but there are many channels. And that's part of our focus today as we continue our series on The Abundance Project by Derek Rydall. In order to stay open to all the channels requires a big ask of us. And it's this: we need to be willing to let go of needing to know how something will get done or show up, or who or where it will come from. I don't know if you've ever had an experience where somebody reached out to you and you went, no, thank you. That's not the channel I had decided that good should flow to me from. When we get mired in our sometimes clouded and filtered mind by our conditioned ideas of what should be or has to be, even what can be, when we are not clear about who we are and who we have come into this world to be, we actually limit the infinite possibilities, those infinite channels of God. By default, our human mind determines what's possible, and typically it's through those five senses: what we hear, what we see, what we can taste or imagine. Yet, we all know, we've seen throughout the long history of humanity, that the most important innovations, the breakthroughs, and the leaps that we've made in our human progress are outside of the current concepts and paradigms. They had to move into something that was unknown in order to become known. So if we want to experience the greatest level of abundance in our lives in the most graceful way that we can, it asks us to let go of the ideas about how it should happen, where it should come from, and who it should come through. One of the ways that the author suggests that we practice this is what he calls give specifically, receive universally. So we give to something that we are specifically moved to give to, but we are open to receive back in this law of giving and receiving from channels known and unknown, and we're not telling the universe exactly how that should show up in our lives. As we work with this law of circulation, filling ourselves up, circulating that good back out into the world, and then moving right back into that receiving in order to continue the flow, it's a common experience. It's kind of the norm in our society to expect that our reward is going to come from the place in which we've been giving. Think about this. Most people would have a common expectation that if we do a great job at work, then we will be given in return a raise or a promotion or some response of appreciation and generosity towards us. And when this doesn't happen, because that's the channel in which we've been expecting it, we feel cheated. We feel often upset. We feel like we aren't being acknowledged for our efforts in offering the best job that we can. And when we do that, what we're discovering as we live in this flow of abundance is it actually constricts that flow of good to us. And in fact, it often makes the situation even worse. There may be reasons why this particular channel doesn't return the energy we've circulated to it. That place of employment may not have the money right now or the position to offer a promotion. The person in the relationship that you've been giving so generously to may not have the capacity to reciprocate in the space that they're at right now. You might have some unconscious issues about what needs to be healed, or it simply may be the wrong channel that you're giving to receive back from that same space. It might be something that in your limited human view and beliefs that you can't fully see or understand at the moment. Ultimately, we want to give, we want to serve, we want to circulate our life and all of our capacities unconditionally. It's a little easier said than done, but that's the vision. If we want to hold a vision, it's not necessarily about the channels that's going to come through, but that we want to be in this space of unconditional giving and not really expecting anything in return. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have agreements, that we may not have contracts in business, that there isn't things that we say yes to and other people do that we need to hold each other accountable for. And it doesn't mean that you can't ask for what you need. The key is to maintain your awareness that that person or that job or whatever it is that you're seeking is not your source. They are simply one of the channels in which that essence can be expressed through. They're simply one of an infinite number of possibilities. Once you understand that everyone and everything is a channel, but there's only one source, that source, and it's actually alive in you, you can begin to more clearly ask for what you want. To do that from a place where it's not about blame, it's not about shame, it's not about guilt, it's not about being needy, but from that place of knowing that you are one with that infinite source and it is here. All you have to do is ask. Jesus said over and over again, ask. And how you are willing to receive it, what you believe about that, will come to you. Ask and you shall receive. He didn't say only if you're worthy or deserving. He didn't say only if you ask for it from this specific channel or from this specific understanding and awareness. It's ask and be open to how the abundance shows up. He understood that asking actually activates in a greater way those channels of abundant flow. Sometimes we think, and I think this is a woman thing too, but it's probably a human thing, you should just know what I need. I shouldn't have to ask you. I gave you, didn't I? Now you should intuit what it is I need and just provide it for me. Doesn't work out very well very often. At least it hasn't in my relationships. And the more you ask, the more you shall receive. The more that abundance continues to flow. The bigger the demand that you make on life, the bigger the results that you can achieve. We're reminded that life never withholds anything from us. We withhold from ourselves by not giving or asking in abundant ways. So our opportunity this morning, as we are going to take a little time for inward reflection, inward connection, inward listening as we move into our meditation, is to begin to see what is rising up that is calling you to ask for. Not how or when or with whom, but the what. What's the what that you would love? And I want you to ask it from this place. If money were no object, education, past history, the state of your body, the state of the world, if none of that came into play, what would I love? What would bring me a greater sense of purpose and passion? What would fulfill who I have come here to be? So take that as we begin to move and bring our attention inward, closing your eyes if you're comfortable, or just simply focusing your gaze as you bring your attention to that breath that flows, always flowing, always in that giving and receiving mode, whether we're conscious of it or not. The breath is always in the present moment. And so as we focus on it, it brings our awareness into this now moment. And as you breathe into this space, into your body, imagine that you're breathing in not just to your lungs, but to your heart center. That place within us where we can connect with our own divine nature. That place that is open and receptive to our intuitive guidance, as well as the guidance of our thoughts of experience. And in this space, ask what is on your heart, what is most wanted in this moment, for yourself, perhaps for others, or for the world. We take that step into the flow by simply asking. As we focus on the what, we let go of any thoughts about the who or the when or the how. And just simply allow Spirit to move and to open your own mind and heart to know that new channels are now flowing to you to receive what it is you have asked for. Just take a moment and rest in this awareness for just a short time as we sit in the silence. And as you begin to bring your attention back to this time and place, aware of your body, of the breath once again, the seat that's supporting you. Intend on this day to move into all of the activities, expressing what it is that you are welcoming in, what you are asking to receive as you unconditionally give wherever that opportunity arrives, and anticipate the good that is flowing to you as a result. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Indeed, asking for what you want becomes one of the central practices in this abundance project, in this way in which we can continue to shift our thinking, our feeling, our believing around how abundance flows, not only in our own lives, but in the world. When we ask from this awakened abundance awareness, it's not about trying to get something that you don't have, that you think is going to somehow change who you are or how you experience life. It's really a way of opening and activating the channels in your life, as well as in yourself, to allow more to flow into your experience. And when you can do it from that space, here's the beautiful thing: it doesn't take away from anyone else. It expands the good for everyone. As this principle, as these practices become embodied within us, we each will start to feel a greater current of confidence and of power, that we are co-creators in this process, which will lead to new and better opportunities that allow you to express your deeper potential. So the invitation is, ask away. It's okay to ask. And when we ask with this attitude of gratitude for everything that we receive, including the challenges, including the obstacles, including the blessings, and including the blessings in disguise, it literally tunes us into the flow of good and makes us a channel for it. So today, as we take what we offer into our hands and our hearts, we're going to join together and join and bless it together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God. All right, well, you get me again this Sunday as we have our center update. The first Sunday is the minister's report, so I wanted to give you a gift today as part of the minister's report. So many people wrestle with explaining unity when they're asked. And you ever have that? So people say, what's unity? And you kind of stumble over your words to try and explain what that is. So I want to offer you, and we're going to have it recorded. We may even put it on the website if you want to go practice a little bit, or point them to that. A less than 2-minute example of how you might answer this question. So you ready? All right. So unity rose up in the late 1800s in the midst of scientific, psychological, and spiritual revolution as a mystical, metaphysical approach to Christianity. And instead of dogma and rules to guide our lives, we focus on living into 5 truth principles. The first is that there's only one power and one presence in our lives and in all of creation, and that's God, and that's good, and that's love. And as a part of that creation, our DNA is also God and good and love. So instead of focusing on trying to overcome our innate sin, we seek to uncover our innate divinity, our inner Christ. We recognize Jesus not as the exception, but rather the example of our true potential. And as conscious living beings, we have the capacity to be co-creators with God through the activity of how we think and how we feel, how we believe, and how we act. We go directly to headquarters in unity. We have direct access to God's wisdom and guidance through prayer and meditation. And finally, it's not just enough to know these, but we are called to live these principles. How people do that is as varied as each individual. So we welcome all people who are seeking to focus on their spiritual journey. Most people within unity believe that while there is one God, there are many paths to a union with this God. Jesus' teachings are central in unity, but we also look to other master teachers, science, and positive psychology to guide our way. We seek to be as Jesus was, free of judgment and full of love. And finally, the best way to experience us is to join us in person or check us out on our Unity YouTube or Facebook channel.
All right, so let's stand up together, let's join hands, and we'll do our peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. Take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
So as we go into this day, into this week, asking for what we want and being in that flow of abundance that moves in and through our lives, we go, knowing our prayer for protection. We'll do it as call and response. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well.